We're excited to have our next guest back in our studio. Last time he was here, he was promoting Knives Out. This time around, it's the sequel to that film, a Knives Out mystery titled Glass Onion. You got it, Casey?
I do.
There we go. Thank you. Please welcome Rian Johnson to our show this morning. Sorry, I had a last-second audible on the song. I'm like, do we have Glass Onion from the Beatles? We got to get that on right now. Nice to see you, Ryan.
It makes me so happy to be back. I had such a good time last time. I walked in, I was just like,
We're glad you had a good memory.
We have pizza, all kinds of stuff.
So with that song that we led into, that actually obviously is part of your psyche as you're putting together the movie. How much of a sway did the Beatles' influence have over your decisions in the movie?
It's pretty huge. And if any Beatles nuts who watch the movie, you keep your eyes really peeled because we planted a ton of little Beatles Easter eggs.
Yay!
I tell you what, Knives Out was so sensational. I've seen it so many times. There's this genre in particular. I don't know anyone who can't get amped up for a murder mystery with a cast of characters. One of them is guilty, maybe multiple parties are guilty. It's like, again, it goes back to my take on horror movies. Even bad ones are good. You're doing state-of-the-art, top-level ones, which makes them so fantastic. This has always been a big love of yours, genre-wise, since the beginning, correct?
Yeah, this was, all of this comes from me having memories of watching those old Agatha Christie movies, like Death on the Nile and Murder on the Orient Express, sitting around the TV with my family watching those and just thinking, this is the best thing ever, and wanting to do that, but like set it like in the modern world. That's kind of the whole premise.
The great thing is also, and with the reviews are sensational for the movie, by the way, is that the ones that are done right, and as you did with Knives Out, they employ humor because the situation itself lends itself to that, and all the reports back, and I watched a number of interviews with the cast and so on and so forth, that they really loved that this is a little bit more infused with humor than perhaps Knives Out was.
Yeah, our philosophy with these movies is we want the audience to be having such a good time, they forget they're supposed to be solving the mystery.
But like with Knives Out, you kept the meticulous nature of, I think we talked about this last time, it's such a letdown when the architecture of the plot hasn't really been thought out, and sometimes they'll just phone it in to last. Yeah. The way everything wrapped up in Knives Out was so perfect. And so I have to ask you, do you start with the conclusion and retro-write it, or how do you go through the process?
Kind of. I have a really weird process. I spend the first 80% of writing working in little notebooks, just drawing out almost like architecture, like the structure of the story.
Right.
So I've got to have the roadmap in front of me before I sit down. The very last thing I do is I sit down and I type out the script. At that point, I've got the whole thing kind of planned out like a blueprint in my head.
How many times from the time that you finish that this would seem to be a kind of a hard movie to call an audible on the set and say we're going to change it because you have
You'd be surprised.
Really?
It happens.
Really?
Yeah, it happens. And on this one in particular, there was one thing that was a small thing, but the small thing in this type of movie becomes a big thing that someone brought up to me, and I was like, oh, dang. Yeah.
Was it a continuity?
No, it was like a logic thing with the mystery thing. And that's your nightmare, by the way, on the set of these movies, is anytime an actor's coming up to you, you think, this is going to be the question that unravels the entire thing.
Oh, my God, that's right.
Luckily, that didn't happen. I think this has the same pleasure as the first one, I hope, where it feels really satisfying at the end because we put a lot of work into making sure the mystery all holds together.
Excellent.
Who do you turn to when you're in that storyboard process, when you're getting this together and eventually you have your linear path and this is going to go from A to B? Once you have it all written out, who do you trust to go through that and go make sure that you covered all your bases? Because no matter how you test things until you beta test it and throw it out there, you're like, oh my God, we didn't think of that.
How did I miss that?
How did I miss that?
Yeah, I've got a couple of really good writer friends that are really close to me who aren't going to BS me. And so, I got two friends, Dan and Stacey Sheridan. They're like the first people I show any script to, and a couple other good buddies. And I think that's what you got to do. You got to show it to friends who aren't going to but who are actually going to say, yeah, this still needs work. And
did they find anything in this particular one?
I think it's less about like finding mistakes in the mystery. It's more about the middle of this is boring.
Okay.
Or I don't really care about this character, or it's story stuff. And that, again, that's kind of the whole thing in this movie is hopefully they work as just really fun movies,
right?
First and foremost.
I wanted to ask, as a fan, as a fan of actors and what they do, when you have an ensemble cast, because obviously both of these films have incredible ensemble cast.
Stellar.
And you're getting people together that maybe haven't, they're maybe just meeting for the first time, yet they're these big, well-known stars. Do you sometimes sit back and just kind of watch that and go,
Oh my God.
watch their personal interactions, not the work part, but the personal thing, and go, wow, this is really happening over here?
Well, we shot the first half of the movie in Greece, second half in Belgrade in Serbia, and it was during the Delta surge, so we were all really locked down in the hotel together. So to blow off steam on the weekends, we would rent out the rooftop bar, and we would go up there with the whole cast and play murder mystery games.
Oh my God, that'd be awesome.
We played Mafia, or some people call it Werewolf.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that was amazing to watch this cast of actors, who were in this murder mystery, all get super drunk together and play Mafia together. The dynamics were fascinating.
Who was really good at it?
Kate Hudson and Leslie Odom Jr. took it really seriously. But Janelle Monáe, she would show up. I don't know how she did it. She would show up in full costume. She, like Sherlock Holmes cape and like fake mustache and pipe. She would have created a detective character, and she would stay in character she was just amazing. So it's like you get a group of actors together to blow off steam. They're going to act.
It's wild that happened this way during the Delta surge. I've heard, I'm a massive Bond fan, loved Daniel Craig, and, obviously this is a new series for him, a new success, hopefully, it's the second film. I don't want to pressure you. But the legend is that when you're on set and Daniel Craig is an actor like he was with the Bond movies, he throws these parties.
Oh, yeah.
And did that, okay.
Believe the legends.
So how ornate and how wonderful were they?
Oh, so the first day that we were because we started in Greece, you can just imagine he invited everyone over to the house he was renting on the ocean for a cocktail party. It felt like a scene from one of
the Bond movie.
Yeah, it was incredible. It was amazing. So no, they say that it all comes from the top, and I think Daniel being kind of the anchor of all of these casts, I think that's a huge part of the reason we've had such a good time.
He's so talented. The Benoit character is so great, but again, you have all these different high-powered. You have Catherine Hahn, Leslie Odom Jr., Dave Bautista, Kate Hudson, Ed Norton.
Yeah.
Now, Ed Norton, we've heard, and I love Ed Norton, but Ed Norton is very precise and likes to give his input to directors that he feels aren't up to the task. I can't imagine he had that situation with you.
No, we had the time of our lives together.
Oh, that's great.
And we were like two kids playing in a sandbox together. It's just, I love Edward so much.
He's so good.
He's so funny in the movie. He's playing kind of like a tech billionaire, and he has so much fun with the part, just roasting that type of person.
Right.
So, we had a blast, man.
And even Daniel Craig's choices as an actor in the beginning of the movie, you're like, wait a second, this isn't the same guy that I remember from Knives Out. And then, you sort of start to understand why. And it wasn't, my wife, my daughter. My daughter
He's from
and
the
I.
South.
We're not touching that with a 10-foot
Me neither. My daughter and I were discussing, because we saw the film on Monday. We were discussing on the way home, and that's when I was able to sort of dissect for her, the difference in the character, and it's the same person, but why those choices were made.
He's doing everything in it for a reason. That's part of the fun of this movie. Not to get ahead of ourselves, but it's almost made to be seen a second time more than there's a lot of stuff that you'll see a second time and realize, oh, that's why he's doing this. Oh, that's why hopefully that'll be satisfying.
If you're just jumping in, it's director Rian Johnson who's here, and it's a Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery that we're talking about. The show, the film is coming out on Netflix in December, but there is a screening tonight.
Nice.
It is part of the 31st Philadelphia Film Festival. So you can go to philadelphia.org. Are you doing Q&A?
I am going to do an intro Q&A.
Excellent.
I can't wait. We had such a good time at the screening with the last one here.
To the precision of what you were just talking about, here's a review that says another masterful murder mystery from Rian Johnson. Just like his first film, Glass Onion will warrant multiple viewings, as you just said, to fully soak in the wild amount of precision and passion that went into the filmmaking. You obviously make films for the audiences, but it doesn't hurt seeing reviews like that, right?
That's nice. The best thing, though, and I'm looking forward to the screen tonight, but I'll tell you, if you can see this movie in the theater with a crowd, it's a really fun ride.
It is, and that's the
original
thing.
Murder on the Orient Express. I remember seeing the original version in the theater.
Yeah.
You know, Sean Connery, everybody in that, and
was a
the
blast.
audience was dialed in.
I love it.
And we were laughing. I mean,
love
like
it,
the crowd that I was watching with, we were laughing. It's not a comedy, but it is. There are very funny points that aren't forced. I'm like, this is like legit funny, and just very subtle jabs and stuff.
That's what you try for. You try for humor, not from like sticking jokes in it, but just because the situation or the character is funny.
Yep,
That's the
goal.
best.
Yeah.
You have a very interesting issue with this film. Not an issue, I should say. It was kind of an honor. You have cameos from two giants who have since passed. It's gotten out in the news, so everyone sort of knows. And they are
Angela Lansbury and Stephen Sondheim.
right, two huge people.
Heroes of mine. Yeah.
How did you successfully orchestrate that?
We just approached them, and it's just a tiny little cameo in the movie. It's just like one little really fun moment. But they're two heroes of mine. I'm grateful they're in it, but more than that, I'm grateful because when I filmed the cameos with them, I got 10 minutes with each of them, and just the fact that I was able to tell both of them like what their work meant to me. I mean, that's the biggest thing. But yeah, we just reached out. I mean, Stephen Sondheim, I guess, had seen the first one. He's a big murder mystery nut, and so he was into it. And Angela Lansbury was so generous and patient, and I came over to her house with my laptop, and it was pretty great.
Did she? So we kind of just recorded some stuff, and did she have any idea? 'Cause, I mean, had she gotten the script or?
No, I don't think she read the script. I don't want to spoil it, but I'll spoil. What the heck? She's in the game. She's like supposed to be playing a video game.
Okay.
In the movie, and she's not. Angela Lansbury was not a gamer. She was many things.
That's a shock. That's a shock. She's on a Call of Duty.
But she was so sweet. She was just like, you know what? This is not my thing, but you just talk me through it and let me know. And she was so lovely.
Well, you're getting a papal blessing from the Murder, She Wrote.
Oh my God.
Yeah, matriarch.
Yeah, exactly.
So you were talking about watching the movie again for just to catch things that maybe you didn't catch the first time and little Easter eggs. I want to watch it again because the set was so beautiful. I mean, just so many aspects of it. The glass onion itself was just gorgeous. I mean, and just breathtaking. And so I would like to do that again. I mean, it's just the when they sit down for dinner, that whole room, and can you talk about the set design?
Yeah, so our production designer Rick Heinrich, he did the Star Wars movie that I made. We worked with him on
that little indie film.
That little thing. It was in a few theaters. But he did a bunch of movies with Tim Burton, so he's really good at doing really nuanced, artful design, but on a huge scale, which is kind of what we needed for this movie because the lead character is a tech billionaire. He's going to do everything huge. So, yeah. And
there's sort of, and you said the tech billionaires, and so there's a sort of a light social commentary that runs its way through it, which is, and I love as you talk about humor shouldn't be sledgehammered.
Yeah.
This shouldn't be sledgehammered as well. Yeah. Everyone gets where you're going. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's just a solid murder mystery, and that's just a crowd pleaser. You mentioned Stephen Sondheim being a fan. Has anyone else of that ilk or that level let you know what a fan they are of what you're doing with these films?
Boy, if they are, please reach out to me.
You're not going to find them in Philly,
Yeah. No, I've gotten some really nice notes from some of my heroes. Yeah.
Any mystery writers that you yourself are?
Well, I mean, this all comes from me loving Agatha Christie, but recently I've discovered John Dickson Carr. If anyone's a mystery nut, I'd encourage you to go explore some of his books. He had a great detective named Gideon Fell, who's a total jerk and really funny. So John Dickson Carr, I'd look him up.
Very cool.
For a good mystery.
You also brought up that independent Star Wars movie that you did that was in a few theaters. And I'm curious, Ryan, if you watched She-Hulk.
No, I haven't yet. A friend of mine wrote on it. I've got queued. I have so much stuff lined up. I haven't watched Andor yet. I've got Andor piling up. I keep hearing it's fantastic.
You're gonna like it.
I cannot wait. Yeah.
If you liked Rogue One, it's just very much in that vein. But the season finale, if and when you watch She-Hulk,
I heard about this.
Okay, so it made me think of you, and it also made me think of like Kevin Smith and just people essentially being dicks to be dicks about pop culture stuff. And you got a ton of it for Last Jedi. I happen to love the movie. If you don't, I get it. But like it's just interesting. It's for me. Yeah. It's new Star Wars stuff that I'm alive to watch and enjoy. And Andor's the same way, and Mandalorian, and I love the 3 movies, including the one that you did. So I don't care if you, the listener, don't like it. I liked it, and so it's just interesting to me to see how people take it so damn seriously.
Well, look, I grew up as a Star Wars fan, and I grew up just as a kid. The whole deal was you argue with your friends on the playground. Well, you liked it and didn't like it. And man, I was in my 20s when the prequels come out. You want to talk about arguing? You want to talk about fan reaction?
Yeah.
So for me, it's part of the Star Wars experience. And I think the key is people like different things, people dislike different things. That's all a great part of the fan base. I think there's a toxic element of that can slip in and turn into abuse online, and that we gotta stamp the hell out.
Let me ask you about that.
Yeah.
Should the tact be to not give that oxygen? Because
no, you gotta shut it down. You gotta shut it down.
I'll see promotional, like they'll put all this effort into getting these tweets that might not ever have been seen.
Totally.
Big coverage. And to me, that almost seems antithetical. You're actually satisfying the beast by doing that.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Look, I think we're all feeling our way through it, but I think there's a real feeling right now because I'll tell you, my experience with the Star Wars fan base has been so positive and so lovely. The best fans in the world and just so much positivity. And so I know what an exception to the rule that small group of and I'm not talking about who liked the movie or didn't like the movie. I'm talking about toxic. I'm talking about abuse.
Right.
Different thing. So no, and I think though all these fan bases are slowly realizing, you know what? It's not enough to just ignore this stuff. You got to make it clear to everybody that this is not welcome in our community, and this is not who we are. Again, not to shun it and push it out.
Not like or dislike.
No, this is not about what you like
and raging.
Well, the girl who played Rose,
yeah,
for instance, she had taken a ton of abuse, and I wasn't down with that at all. And first of all, I loved her character, but I want to ask about what I think might be the greatest television show of all time, and you have a fingerprint on that, and that is Breaking Bad. And you directed 3, I think, of the best episodes that came out, Fly, 51, and Ozymandias. So this time, 1 month ago, I was in Albuquerque. And so these guys allowed me to drive across the country and do it in live check-ins on the show. And I ended up in Albuquerque, and I knew that I was going to drive past Walter White's house. I knew that I was going to do that. But as I was driving there, I was thinking, I wonder if the car wash is actually in Albuquerque as well. And then I looked to my left, and there was a car wash.
Was it?
And I went and got the car wash there. And for me, I think that was the most excited I was for the entire trip, was just being in that area, because, the show was just, I think, perfect.
It was phenomenal.
How did you end up directing any of the episodes?
Well, Vince Gilligan, it's his show. He had seen my first movie, Brick, which was this kind of weird little indie detective movie, and he liked it. He gave me a call, and so we just stayed in touch, and I felt so lucky to get to ride that bus for a couple of stops.
And you got 2 of the episods in the final season.
I still can't believe that. Yeah, I still can't believe it. I tried not to leave any fingerprints on it. I tried to be a thief in the night and just kind of deliver it, and just tried to get what was on the page that was so good up there on the screen.
It's always interesting in that case. I think when you're called into something that has the legend precedes it, and as a good director, and obviously you're a phenomenal director. You want to come in and serve that plot, but also put a little bit of you in it, and finding that balance between both. Is that difficult?
I don't actually. I even with my own, I don't think it's healthy to sit down and think, how do I get my stamp or my personality?
Right.
It's got to all just be about telling the story the best you can. Now, in doing that, it's almost like with your speaking voice, you have your natural accent from where you grew up.
Right.
Very naturally, your voice is going to come through because it's you telling it, but you don't give any purposeful thought to this is my kind of shot I do or something.
It's natural. It's going to come through anyway.
You just try and tell the story as best you can, I think, yeah.
One of I know Nick Murphy is a massive fan of this, as am I. Looper is I love the movie. You worked with Bruce Willis. Since then, we've heard about his health and issues. Have you had any chance to communicate with him? Or?
I haven't directly, no.
Yeah.
No, but God, I had such a good time with him. He was so sweet and wonderful when we made Looper, and he just worked so hard on that part. And
he's phenomenal. And when he was doing promotion for it, you could see how proud he was of the movie.
Yeah, rightly so. His performance in that movie is so good, and I had such a good time working with him. And yeah, my heart goes out to his family. Yeah.
I'm happy to hear you talking about how nice these people are.
Yes,
seriously, it was.
It's great.
It was great. Yeah.
We do a little entertainment segment where we run through what's going on in Hollywood, and it's just littered with stories. And lately of people reporting what a jerk that person was. It was really hard to work with that person 20 years ago, and they're finally starting to say these things. It's refreshing to hear that Everybody's having a good time with Rian Johnson.
There's good people. Yeah, I try and create an environment on my set where you have to really want to be a jerk on my set. You have to really put a lot of work into it.
My guess is you wouldn't suffer it quick for long though, right?
No, but it's not like I have to have like a heavy fist or something. I create an environment where everybody feels good, everyone feels supported.
You don't have a writing crop as you're directing and all.
Not yet.
He actually reminds me of Nick Murphy. Yeah. Quite a bit. Who's just kind of like, yeah, whatever, yeah, okay. Everybody good? We're good.
Oh, man. Yeah, good. That's what he is. Yeah. Good.
Yeah, be nice, be kind, work together.
Until it's time to not be nice.
Hey, as we've learned from
Totals and Roadhouse.
Is Joseph Gordon-Levitt awesome? Because I love him as an actor.
So it's funny. We've stayed really good friends since Looper, and I always find a way to work him in. In Glass Onion, he's got a little like voice thing that he does. He's the hourly Dong. This won't.
He's Dong.
He's Dong. Yeah. It'll be nothing to you. Now you have to see the movie just to figure out what we're talking about.
Oh my God, that's great. Yeah.
But I'm making my first TV show. Actually, I'm making this show with Natasha Lyonne.
She's great.
Face. It's coming out at the beginning of next year. It's kind of like a Rockford Files, Columbo, like case of the week, like her solving crimes.
I love those.
I love it
Sunday
so
night
much.
mystery movies. You'd have Columbo,
Magnum PI, Rockford Files. Oh, Kojak.
who was
McMillan and Wife.
McMillan and Wife. McLeod, who was basically a Coogan's Bluff. That character.
There was a slew of them.
A ton of them, and they were cranking out. All right, let me ask you this: my wife and I think I can bring your expertise to this conversation, like a fight that you had with your girlfriend.
I'll tell you off air.
I state for the record that Columbo mysteries. For me, the big joy is you know who did it. You know. The trick is watching him ensnare.
Yeah.
She says she prefers the ones where you don't know who did it, and there were some of those until the end.
Yeah.
Do you, acclaimed mystery director and writer, agree with me or my wife?
Well, I'm making both because the movies are you don't know who did it. I mean, like Glass Onion and Knives Out. The show I'm making is the Columbo style of how did it, where we show the killer at the beginning, and it's about Natasha. And that for a TV show I like because that means you don't have to spend your time getting to know a slew of suspects. You can concentrate on the relationship between the detective and the killer. And look, I'm a Columbo nut. I found it so satisfying seeing.
Thank you for endorsing my opinion.
You're both right.
100%.
I take the sides here.
Where are we going to watch this? Which
this is going to be on Peacock. Poker Face is going to be on Peacock, and I don't think there's a date yet, but it's the beginning of next year.
Love it. So Joseph Gordon-Levitt did that.
Oh, so he's in an episode of it. That's the other fun thing. Every episode is like its own little movie with a guest star who's the killer.
That's right out of the Sunday Night Mystery
It
movie.
totally is.
really
And Joe plays one of them in one of the episodes I directed.
So what's Natasha Lyonne's story? Is she the detective?
She's. I don't want to give it too much. She's not actually a cop or detective in it. It's a little bit like Murder, She Wrote, where she's just a person who has a specific gift where she can tell if people are lying or not. Poker Face. And she ends up solving crimes.
And then another actor that we all love, Tim Blake Nelson, is in an episode.
God, he's in it. He's so good, man.
Yeah, he's
so
great.
Talented. Yeah,
we had a great conversation with him. He stopped by and he walked in the studio like, oh, God,
a morning show.
Yeah. And by the end of the interview, I'll never forget what he says. He goes, "Now don't take this the wrong way." He goes, "But that was surprisingly substantive." And I was like, "That's a great compliment."
I know what he means.
Yeah.
I love it.
With this being released, with Glass Onion being released on Netflix, I don't know the specifics. Is it exclusively, or is it going to run in theaters?
We're going
as
to do
well?
a special thing in Netflix. I'm so happy Netflix is doing this. But 1 week on Thanksgiving, we're going to put it into theaters, and this is the first time they're working with like AMC and Regal and Cinemark and putting it into those chains. So it's going to have a 1 week run. Tickets are tickets on sale now, but you can actually buy your tickets now for Thanksgiving.
Go watch it.
We almost, as a family, almost always end up at a theater right at Thanksgiving.
Absolutely. And this is, I don't know, I feel like I've suddenly turned into a pitch man. I'm
What would you
sorry, but
expect
this
of
is a
me?
great movie. I watch it with your family. This is true.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, certainly, Knives Out was not anything, unless you're hypersensitive. It's absolutely a family could watch that.
Oh no, I that's the other thing, because like I said, my memories are watching those movies I grew up with my family.
Right.
I really aim with these to give it's PG-13, and it's something that it's it's not too intense, I think, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's made to be watched with the whole family.
I love this.
Going back to Knives Out, because I have to bring this up. I don't really have to, but I want to.
Ana de Armas.
Oh my God.
Casey has a crush.
She's perfection.
I don't know if I could ever work with her because I wouldn't be able to. I think I would be so worried. Like I just would want her to like me as a person. You're right, right?
Do you like me? Do you like
all right,
me?
don't be creepy. Don't be creepy. Don't be creepy. But she just seems like she's just perfect.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
Do you know what's wild? She's this more, sort of awkward person in Knives Out with Daniel Craig, and then in the final Bond movie, she gets to play that seductress spy, kick-ass badass with Daniel Craig. So he's seen multiple sides of her capabilities.
Who says it? Right now she's playing Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You I also saw on your IMDb you got another Knives Out sequel coming up.
Well, yeah, I got to write it. You guys got any ideas?
Casey's got ideas.
Oh, I'm an idea guy.
Here's what you do.
But no, wait, I mean, Daniel and I, we have so much fun doing it. You can probably tell. We have a lot of fun making these movies. And for me, what's exciting is, this movie, it's Daniel as a detective, but other than that, it's a whole new deal. New cast, new mystery, new setting, everything. It's like a new Agatha Christie book. So it's not a continuation of the last one.
I
To
remember
me, that's what's exciting going forward.
It is.
Yeah.
Will you do so with Agatha Christie? You had Hercule Poirot. You had all the different, all the different characters that populated her books. Would you keep add additional characters and keep it under the Knives Out umbrella as well, or
I don't think so. I mean, no. To me, it's not about like creating some like umbrella or franchise. To me, it's just movie by movie. I just sit down. I want to make a great movie.
Well, it's clearly working.
Yeah.
Well, wonderful. Well, tonight is a screening at the Philadelphia Film Festival. It's at 7:15. You can get all the details at philadelphia.org. But we'll look for that release coming up in around Thanksgiving, and then it will be out on Netflix in December, correct?
Yes, December on Netflix.
But see it in the theaters.
Well, yeah, but go see it in the
See it
theaters
both.
for sure.
Yeah, multiple times.
Ryan, great to talk to you again.
Unsurprisingly substantive.
I love it. Thank you. Rian Johnson, everyone.